Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about anthropology and how to improve information security in enterprises. Enterprise security architecture frameworks help organizations design and manage complex IT and business environments. Two widely adopted frameworks are SABSA for enterprise security architecture and TOGAF for enterprise IT architecture. Both frameworks establish a set of principles that guide organizations in structuring their enterprise security and governance alignment. Understanding these principles and their applications goes beyond technical implementation. Anthropology, which studies human societies and cultures, plays a crucial role in shaping enterprise architecture. Enterprise architecture is not just about technology, but also about human behavior, decision-making, and organizational dynamics. Accordingly, we will explore three things: the SABSA principles, how SABSA ensures security is embedded in enterprise architecture through a business-driven approach; TOGAF principles, the foundational guidelines that drive consistency, flexibility, and alignment in enterprise architecture; and three, the links with anthropology, how anthropology's focus on human behavior, culture, and organizational dynamics inform enterprise architecture principles and implementations. SABSA is a risk-driven security framework that integrates security into enterprise architecture using a layered model. It follows a business-driven approach, assuring that security aligns with organizational goals rather than being an afterthought. The SABSA model is structured into 6 layers, each corresponding to different aspects of security and business requirements. There's a contextual layer about business goals, strategies, and security objectives. There's the conceptual layer, in other words, the what. These are security concepts, risk management strategies, and policies. There's the logical layer, the how. These are logical security models, risk controls, and security services. There's the physical layer, in other words, the question, with what? These are specific technologies and infrastructure implementing security. Number 5 is the component model or layer, in other words, where. These are the deployment of security mechanisms in IT systems. And there's the operational side, the who and when. These are real-time security operations and monitoring. Each of these layers ensures that security is integrated from the top down rather than being added after technical solutions are already in place. And accordingly, here are the key SABSA principles. Business-driven security, where SABSA emphasizes that security decisions should be based on business needs and risks rather than purely technical concerns. Security controls are selected based on risk assessments, ensuring that investments in security are aligned with the most critical risks. That there are policies defining security requirements across all layers of the architecture, ensuring consistency and enforceability. You ensure comprehensive coverage by aligning security with different levels of abstraction, the business, logical, technical, etc. You emphasize that this is a continuous assurance. Security is not a one-time implementation, but an ongoing process requiring monitoring, adaptation, and improvements. And you do the design around your stakeholders. Security should always consider the needs of various stakeholders, including the executives, employees, customers, and regulators. You put all of this together to embed security into business processes, ensuring that security supports business objectives rather than hindering them. You apply a risk-driven approach to allocate resources sufficiently, focusing on the most critical threats and vulnerabilities. Moving on to TOGAF. TOGAF is a widely used enterprise architecture IT framework that provides structure for designing, implementing, and managing IT systems in alignment with business goals. TOGAF consists of several key components. There's the architecture development method, commonly shortened to ADM, which is a step-by-step process for creating an enterprise IT architecture. There's the Enterprise Continuum, a classification system for architecture, assets, and solutions. There are reference models, which are standardized architectures that organizations can adopt or adapt. There's governance and compliance, ensuring that the architecture aligns with business policies and regulatory requirements. TOGAF establishes principles that guide enterprise IT architecture design. These principles fall into three broad categories: business principles to ensure alignment between IT and business goals, data principles to govern data management and accessibility, technology principles to provide guidance on infrastructure and application development. Let's break this down a bit more. So for the business principles, there is the primacy of business needs. IT decisions must support business objectives. You maximize reuse. You reuse existing assets to reduce costs and complexity. You have compliance with regulations. You ensure adherence to legal and industry standards. And there is simplification and standardization to reduce complexity and enhance agility. For data principles, keep in mind that data is an asset. Data is a valuable resource that must be managed effectively. There are common data definitions. You have standardized data definitions to ensure consistency. There's data security, where data must be protected based upon the risk levels as defined by your organization. And finally, there's technology principles. So you have technology independence, where you avoid vendor lock-in by adopting open standards where possible. There's interoperability, where systems should be compatible and capable of seamless integration. And you have scalability and flexibility, where architectures should support future growth and changes. And it's by defining and leveraging these clear principles that you help ensure that your investments deliver long-term value. So let's turn to anthropology and enterprise security architecture. Enterprise security architecture, as I've said, is not just about technology. It is deeply human-centric. Anthropology provides insights into organizational culture, human behavior, and decision-making, all of which influence how frameworks like SABSA and TOGAF are implemented. So I'm going to take one example. Here, Bourdieu's work. In his 1986 publication, The Forms of Capital, Bourdieu outlines three primary types of capital that influence social stratification and power dynamics. First, there is economic capital, which is material wealth, financial resources, and assets that can be directly converted into money, for example, income, property, or investments. Number two, there is cultural capital. These are non-financial social assets that contribute to social mobility, including education, knowledge, skills, and cultural tastes. Bourdieu further divides cultural capital into three forms. These are embodied, objectified, and institutionalized. Embodied is language, mannerisms, knowledge acquired through socialization. For objectified, these are books, artwork, instruments. For institutionalized, these are academic degrees and credentials. There are more examples, but I won't go into those. Number three is social capital, the network of relationships, connections, and social ties that provide access to resources and opportunities. It includes group membership and the ability to mobilize social networks for personal or collective gain. Bourdieu argues that these forms of capital can be converted into one another. For example, using social capital to gain economic capital, and that they play a crucial role in maintaining social hierarchies and reproducing power structures. Applying Bourdieu's forms of capital to information security risk management. Bourdieu's theory of capital provides a useful lens for understanding how different types of resources, economic, social, and cultural, shape an organization's ability to manage information security risks. So we're going to do a deeper exploration of how each form of capital influences cybersecurity risk management and how they interact in practice. Economic capital refers to an organization's financial resources, which are critical in determining its ability to implement and sustain information security measures. There's a lot of impact on security risk management. Organizations with high economic capital can afford advanced security technologies like SIEM solutions, advanced endpoint protection, and not just the basic. The skilled cybersecurity professionals, such as hiring chief information security officers, security analysts, etc. The ability to conduct regular penetration testing, audits, and compliance monitoring. The ability to afford comprehensive cyber insurance to mitigate financial losses in case of breaches. Organizations with low economic capital may struggle to implement comprehensive security controls, leaving gaps in protection. They may also struggle to retain skilled talent, leading to reliance on outsourced services or untrained personnel. And they may struggle to stay compliant with security regulations, increasing legal and reputational risks. Cultural capital encompasses the security-related knowledge and competencies within an organization. This includes both technical expertise and security awareness among employees. There are three forms of cultural capital in cybersecurity or information security. There's the embodied cultural capital. These are employees' cybersecurity awareness, habits, and vigilance against threats like phishing, social engineering, and weak passwords. There's the company culture that prioritizes security, encouraging proactive behavior, for example, reporting suspicious emails. In other words, all of this encompasses personal security knowledge and behavior. Number two, there's the objectified cultural capital. These are the security tools and policies. So you have your security frameworks, your policies, and your documentations. For example, ISO 27001 or the NIST cybersecurity framework. There's also ownership of security tools, encryption software, and security infrastructure. Number three, for the institutionalized cultural capital, there are certifications like the CISSP, CISM, and many others that validate expertise. There's industry standards compliance, so there's GDPR, PCI, DSS, HIPAA, etc., that reinforce security best practices. Now, in terms of the impact on security risk management, high cultural capital leads to better internal security governance and employee adherence to security policies. It leads to well-trained teams capable of identifying and mitigating threats effectively. It leads to stronger regulatory compliance and security certifications that enhance trust with stakeholders. By contrast, low cultural capital results in weak security awareness, making employees easy targets for cybercriminals. It results in poorly defined or outdated security policies, increasing exposure to threats, and it also results in ineffective incident response due to the lack of trained personnel. Now, social capital represents the relationships and connections that an organization has within the security ecosystem. This includes collaborations with industry peers, government agencies, regulatory bodies, and cybersecurity communities. And there's also a number of impacts on security risk management. Strong social capital enables access to threat intelligence from security communities, for example, from government agencies. It enables collaboration with industry peers to share best practices and security insights. It enables faster incident response through partnerships with security firms and experts. It enables influence on security policies and regulatory frameworks. By contrast, weak social capital leads to a lack of awareness about emerging threats, leads to difficulty in obtaining external support during security incidents, and leads to increased regulatory risks due to limited interaction with compliance authorities. Bourdieus' concept of capital conversion is particularly relevant in security risk management. As we've gone through, different forms of capital influence each other. So there's economic capital, which influences cultural capital. Organizations with high financial resources can invest in security training, cultural capital, to enhance workforce security awareness. Cultural capital enhances social capital. Skilled cybersecurity professionals or institutionalized cultural capital build strong networks, increasing an organization's access to external expertise, the social capital. Social capital impacts upon economic capital. Strong partnerships with security firms and regulators help reduce financial losses by improving risk mitigation strategies. Bourdieus' framework provides a multidimensional perspective on security risk management, showing that security is not just about technology, but also about financial resources, knowledge, and relationships. To build a resilient security posture, organizations must strengthen economic capital by allocating adequate budgets for security investments. Organizations must develop cultural capital by promoting security awareness training and adherence to best practices, and must leverage social capital by fostering collaborations and engaging in threat intelligence sharing. By balancing these three forms of capital, organizations can create a comprehensive, sustainable approach to security risk management, reducing vulnerabilities, increasing resilience, and responding to evolving threats. They can interweave all of this with enterprise security architecture. Now, bear in mind that enterprise security architecture must align with corporate culture to be successfully adopted, and that resistance to change is a major factor in failed enterprise security architecture implementations. And here's another bit of value, because anthropologists study how people adopt and adapt to new systems and technologies, and therefore provide valuable insights for enterprise security architecture planning. Enterprise architecture as a whole must require buy-in from multiple stakeholders, the executives, the employees, the IT teams, the regulators, etc. And anthropology helps in understanding different stakeholder perspectives and developing effective communication strategies. And therefore this places a human-centered design in enterprise architecture and enterprise security architecture. So enterprise architecture as a whole should consider the human impact of technology decisions. And here's just one example. User experience or UX principles rooted in anthropology can influence how enterprise architecture and enterprise security architecture solutions are designed and adopted. SABSA's risk-driven approach aligns with anthropological studies on how humans perceive and respond to risk. Organizations must consider cultural attitudes towards security and privacy when designing their security architectures. TOGAF emphasizes governance structures which can be compared to social rituals in anthropology. And on the back of this, enterprise architecture governance models must account for informal workplace behaviors and traditions. Many organizations struggle with digital transformation due to cultural resistance. SABSA and TOGAF provide structured approaches to enterprise security and architecture, ensuring that security and IT supports business goals. However, their success depends on human factors, making anthropology a crucial field for understanding culture, risk perception, governance, and organizational behavior. By integrating anthropological insights, organizations can improve enterprise architecture and enterprise security architecture adoption, enhance security awareness, and design systems that truly align with human needs. Anthropological methods, such as ethnographic research, help enterprise architecture teams understand organizational dynamics and design solutions that align with employee behaviors and expectations. In the future, we will hopefully see greater interdisciplinary collaboration between enterprise architecture professionals and anthropologists to develop more adaptive, human-centered enterprise architectures.